before we
Kyle with
go
the
into
news.
our other Kyle with the news.
Yes.
So Kyle, do you have any pieces?
I do.
I'm
To start
perfect
off
harmony.
with,
Kyle's
to start
fine
with,
that.
a day after we talked about Le'Veon Bell and Jets stuff, possibly trading him away, or no, Bell was dropped, right? That's
Yeah,
what
He was
happened.
cut. Yeah, they
He was
released him.
cut, and then we did our podcast, not knowing who he was going to sign with. And then the next day, he went to the Chiefs, which honestly isn't too surprising. The dude got his money from the Jets, and now he wants a ring, and the best place to go to would be
But
the
now,
Chiefs,
aren't the
so-
Jets still paying him? Isn't it that he's actually not like? Aren't the Jets paying most of his contract out?
They
still?
had to give him $6 million, I believe.
Okay, but the
That
deal
is
he
how much they had to
signed
pay out.
is the Chiefs aren't actually paying him a whole lot, especially with their
Yeah.
cheap cap, because most of that money is still coming from the Jets for the payout, I believe.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
he made
take the
what?
ring,
He played
man.
He played 18 games for the Jets, and he made almost $30 million. He was making quarterback money on a per game basis for
Yeah.
that basically year. Unreal. So he got his bag. Now he can go get his ring. Hopefully, well,
A year and a half, right? He played all last year and then a little less than
yeah,
half
but he
this
didn't.
year.
He only participated in 18 games.
Okay.
He only suited up in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
there was some
and
injuries.
it's a 1-year deal. Like, if they win, great. If they don't, you can look at your options again next year. And all the teams that might be desperate for running backs or want to move off of a running back. So,
Yeah.
and
My
it'll
only
be a great
issue-
compliment to Hilaire.
Yeah, it's an incredible move for the Chiefs. The only issue with El Bell is Edwards-Helaire has been awesome, and if El Bell doesn't really do a whole if he doesn't get a lot of opportunities because there's a lot of mouths to feed on that offense, they're way better. I think that makes them a lot better as a team because he's a pass catcher. They can do double back sets if they want to with him and
Keeps him
Edwards-Helaire.
fresh, too.
But one issue is it feels like he's at a point in his career where 2017 was the last time that he played at a high level. It almost felt like, if he would have gone to a place like the Bills and just booted Devin Singletary out and just dominated, that he could have earned himself maybe a 2 or a 3 year contract. He might be in a Shady McCoy situation where he doesn't really play a ton for the next 3 or 4 years if he doesn't really show off his skills, which is a big if. He could still blow up and earn himself a contract. But it's interesting. This isn't a place where he's going to go and get 25 touches a game.
I don't know if he
earn
wants
a contract.
I mean, he has not been the same. He took that year off, talked about how he needs to get the money from the Steelers because he's in better shape taking a year off. And he's been an okay running back for the Jets. He has not been an elite
but the
ball
Jets
carrier
also,
since.
Ryan Tannehill's been a top 5 quarterback for the last year, and Ryan Tannehill was below average with Adam Gase.
Sure.
So I'm just thinking it's just an interesting decision. Not like I definitely understand it, but there is. That
I wonder
concern of,
if they pitched to him and they said, "Hey, look what Cleveland is doing with Nick Chubb and our old boy Kareem Hunt. Like they really are running a 2 elite back set." I wonder if they say we're going to move into that offense with you.
There's no way. That's my hope. I hope the Chiefs do that as a team that I still think, as a fan of the Packers who could potentially, I think, still have a chance to play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I want them to run the ball. The best case scenario for any defense is that they decide to take the Cleveland route and take the ball out of Patty Mahomes' hands. Like you would think they would want to throw more, which is also another kind of odd piece if they do start rushing the ball more.
Well, I mean, if you're having the ability to rush the ball, then, that's good to save, Patty's strength for another day. I mean, look what they did with the Bills last week. They were able to run all over them without Le'Veon Bell. And, Patty was still able to do his thing, but it didn't feel like he had to be relied on as much as, say, when he was playing against the Raiders, to where, even though with all of his abilities, it's possible that he could accidentally make that pick and cost them the game. So, I don't know. I think it's okay. I mean, they're obviously going for another ring, so why not keep adding to it? And I don't really see Bell contributing all that much to the run game, but if he can, that's just going to help Patty and that team even more. The Chiefs are already dangerous, but they're just even more scary. I think that Le'Veon Bell still has enough in the tank. I don't think he's declined in his playing abilities to a steep degree. So the decision makes sense to me all around.
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
Anymore.
I think it's going to be interesting how they use him because, I mean, it's kind of like how the Seahawks have been the last couple of years. When you play them, when they're running the ball too much, that's the defense's greatest gift the offense could ever give is not letting Russ cook. And I'm just a little worried about, you want your best player, and I get setting up play action and everything, but Edwards-Helaire's been awesome for the most part. One or two okay games, and the others have been really good. So I don't think the L. Bell signing's bad by any means, but I would be worried if they try to become a power running team or something like that. It's just kind of an interesting choice.
Andy Reid knows how to run the team. I'm not nervous about how they use Patrick Mahomes at all. So I don't see it coming to that.
I've looked up some stuff on Le'Veon Bell. We were talking, and there's a few articles that dropped a few hours ago specifically talking about Andy Reid, and that might have been really the decision to go to the Chiefs, not really because they're necessarily ring chasing. He's not necessarily ring chasing, or he's not necessarily going because Patty's great. I mean, that's obviously part of it, but it's more about Reid and Andy Reid and what he can do with players. I mean, obviously he really is a quarterback guru. I mean, he has made some great some average quarterbacks look great at times. I mean, Kevin Kolb played great for a while. His quarterback coach, I can't remember his name, Mike Kafka, played great for us for a while as an Eagle. He's a great quarterback coach, but he's just a great coach overall. And that might be some of these articles are saying, that really is the big reason is he's not only leaving, he's leaving for a great coach, a Hall of Fame coach. And that's what he wants.
And he has utilized running backs really well in the past, obviously. Yes. With McCoy and
Brian Westbrook for a long time.
Kareem Hunt. Yeah.
But it is, I'm just curious to see how they use him. I think it's going to be an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah. What else you got, Kyle? Good news?
Trouble in the Cowboys locker room. Apparently, a lot of players are complaining about the coaching staff, saying that they're not teaching them all that much. They're saying like the coaches are just not that prepared. Personally, for me, it's not that surprising. I mentioned a week or two ago that I think the Cowboys coaching staff is the cause of all of the times they've been losing, despite the talent that they have on offense. Defense is another story. That's a work in progress, obviously. But this news doesn't come as a shock to me, but it's been making the headlines. And what do you guys think about it? You same as me or differently?
Nick, you want to go or me?
I can go. I think it's odd. I think it's kind of laughable by the players a little bit, even though, and I also think it's funny because it's Mike McCarthy and we've had such a history with him. But
Aaron Rodgers was the problem, Nick. It was always Aaron. Locker room toxic. It could never be a coach who's being called out years later.
Yeah, but also I think on one aspect of it, there is some coaching issues. I think the coaches have not been awesome, but also Michael Gallup dropped a pass in the end zone for a touchdown. You have Xavier Woods coming out just being like, well, I'm just not going to try, on 10% of the plays. There's going to be no effort. And then they come out
to Nick
and they're
Wright, haven't you?
Oh, always. And but also there's a lot of mistakes on the Cowboys that are preparation and some just players underperforming.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's odd to kind of, as they say, air your dirty laundry out, why are you leaking this to the media? What is that going to accomplish? It's not like if this was last year with Jason Garrett, there would have been a real threat that Jason Garrett gets fired, week 6. They're not going to fire Mike McCarthy, a known coach, even though I don't think he was the best hire. They're not going to fire him 6 weeks in. So I don't get this. I think this is just, honestly, I feel like it's Jerry Jones just letting no one be accountable. The coaches aren't accountable enough. The players aren't accountable enough. Everyone feels entitled because they're in Dallas that they should be this amazing team, and people need to step up and play their position. Don't fumble the ball twice. You've played one game without. It feels like Dak Prescott was the only person on that team who's accountable, and he's gone now, and so the wheels really could fall off here.
I First of all, I'm an Eagle fan. I love the drama. I love the drama. I've been critical of Dak, obviously, if you watch previous episodes. But it shows something. Yeah, sure, there were some drop passes, a drop touchdown, but it shows something when your offense goes from like insane stats. I mean, yes, Dak was throwing the ball, 50 times a game, which people don't bring up. Even if his completion percentage is high, he was throwing an absurd amount of throws. They couldn't do anything. I mean, the offense looked completely different with just Andy Dalton, and I don't know if that's just because the offensive coordinator, your boy Nick from Boise State, Kellen Moore. That Kellen Moore, is it because he's not adapting like Doug and Frank did when Nick Foles took over years? Like, you got to adapt to a different play style. Is he not doing that, or is it just that he's not that good as an actual caller? And it really has been Dak who has made them look pretty competent, at least over the last couple of years. Them calling players out or coaches out might be why they're not participating hard. It's like, hey, if you're not going to prep, I'm not going to prep, which could even be another big problem. You see like what happened with Jimmy Butler years ago, saying these guys aren't working hard and I want to, and it's clearly causing a problem. And it is in Dallas, and I'm here for it because I don't like Cowboys. So I'm all right with it. I feel bad for Dak still, but I'm perfectly all right with everything that's happening. Mike won't be fired. That's not going to happen, at least for another year. So
yeah, I still think the Cowboys' offense will be fine. Like they have thrown the ball too much, no doubt about it, and that might be a Mike McCarthy thing more than a Kellen Moore thing. And Zeke
Kellen calls the
fumbled
plays
twice. Yeah, but Mike has a huge influence on the offense. He's an offensive coach.
Sure.
And Mike threw all the time in Green Bay. I think there's probably a big influence there because Kellen called the plays last year and they didn't throw the ball this much. But like their offense, they had a bad game with their first, Andy Dalton getting back and hasn't played in a while in a new system. Like that's going to happen. I still think their offense is incredibly talented. But I think the NFC East is just a joke, apparently, because 6 wins might win that division this year, which is kind of crazy. But back to you, Kyle.
And then we'll get in the playoffs and we'll beat you.
And then the final piece of news that we have for this week is that Ryan Fitzpatrick, it was riding high, getting that Dolphins team to be looking pretty good, like a wild card contender, 3-3 right now. So what do you do after that when you're celebrating in the bye week? You replace it with Tua. It's Tua time. Like this is very surprising. We knew eventually that Tua was going to, become the starter, but we were expecting next offseason, and let's keep riding it out with Fitzpatrick. So what do you guys think about this? Is it not the right time, or do you think now it is the right time? Because I'm still undecided a bit. So what do you guys think?
Nick?
I love it. I think it's incredible. I think it is such a smart move, to be honest with you. This team has Ryan Fitzpatrick played awesome. He played a handful of really good games, and they are 3-3, and they have the type of schedule where I said it before the Tua before that announcement I was talking about, where I'm like convincing myself that the Dolphins could legitimately win 9 games because they have a really awesome defense. They have some really quality playmakers. I think Flores has proven himself so far into his early head coaching career that he's really good. And in the Seahawks game, it felt like they could have beaten the Seattle Seahawks if they had a different quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick wasn't bad by any means, but he didn't put them over the edge. If they want to make the playoffs, we've seen Justin Herbert has been awesome, and I'm really low on Justin Herbert. He's been better than Joe Burrow so
Herbie
far.
Sherby.
Herbie Sherby.
Yeah, we're calling him that now.
Joe Burrow, with no offensive line, has looked awesome. Going into the draft, I thought Tua was the best quarterback, and I still think there's a really good chance that he ends up being the best out of this draft class. I think it's incredible. Tua has done it at, he had made in the national championship as a true freshman. He replaced Jalen Hurts, led a comeback against Georgia. This guy's got ice in his veins. He is incredible. I think I think he might put them over the edge, and maybe and I think if they, they kind of fall apart and they don't make the playoffs, that's still not the expectation. It's still, I don't think anyone really thinks, unless this team starts playing up more, that they're going to make the postseason. But put Tua in there. He's healthy. They've clearly had this dialed for a long time. This isn't a panicky move. Ryan Fitzpatrick's playing bad, but this is saying this is our team moving forward. We're taking the ceiling away. There's always a ceiling when you have a quarterback like Ryan Fitzpatrick or even Tyrod Taylor, a quarterback when you have a younger guy who you know is going to come in. There's a ceiling. They removed that. Now that he might not play as good as Ryan Fitzpatrick would this year, but I think it's going to do great things for them, and I think he'll surprise some people.
What do you think, Al?
Oh,
what do we do now?
I think we should get a big bowl of Herbie Sherby and eat that up. All right, I'll go. I like the move. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is a good quarterback that sometimes has great games, but does not have the it factor that I've talked about quite a bit. He does not have that factor where if he gets hot, if they get cooking, they can do some real special stuff. Fitzmagic sometimes shows up, and he's got some magic, and the magic's the whole game. But Tua, I want to see what he can do, and they might be looking and saying, hey, we actually have a real chance to make the playoffs here. Like, let's really see what this kid can do. We got the bye week coming up. We didn't think maybe we would be this. I mean, what are they, 3-3 or
3-3?
Yeah, they're 3-3.
Yeah.
They're a game back of first in the division.
Yeah, they might have thought, hey, we would have been worse than this, but we could really compete. It'd be great for Tua. We can get him experience early. If we somehow make the playoffs, that'll be great for him early. Let's just get him in here and let him loose. And I think the decision to do it was really made when he put him in at the end of the game. I think, yes, they were blowing him out, but it's like, hey, keep Ryan Fitzpatrick in the whole time unless you're really have already been considering putting Tua in, because you can get your feet wet in this end of this game. We'll get an idea. I love it. They've got some money. They've got playmakers. So even if they're okay this year, if they barely miss the playoffs, if they make the playoffs and lose out, in the first round, they've got money. They can bring in a couple big pieces and really, be some of those teams that are just a few pieces away. They need that quarterback to get some reps. Yeah, they're looking at Herbie Sherby and Burrow, who are both playing well. They're looking at all the QBs who have been young, who have jumped in a little early and had great success. Goff, Wentz, Patrick waited a year. Lamar finally came in.
Baker's best year was his first year.
Yeah. So I think it's a great move. I think it's finally time to be excited as a Dolphins fan. I'm excited because I want to now watch the game.
Oh, I cannot wait to watch when they play the Rams.
Yeah, they've got a great team down there on offense. They've got good support. They should use Jordan Howard more. I'm surprised Jordan Howard is suddenly now a rollback. He's a good great back.
Myles Gaskin's been doing the job well, though.
Yeah,
you find the hot hand.
Some dual threat here, pal. Yeah, Kyle, what do you think?
And their defense is good.
It's improved since week 1, week 2. They scared me when we had to play them, when the Seahawks had to play them. I was like, I thought this was a bad defense. This defense is pretty good. For me, I do agree with you guys when it comes to Fitzpatrick's ceiling. I think, everyone kind of agrees with that. Clearly, Tua is going to be the better talent over Fitzpatrick. I'm just worried about the hot hand. Yes, you're riding high, and so maybe there's reasoning, since you're riding high so much, let's make the switch and go above and beyond, what our expectations were. I'm still a little bit nervous that could fail, but I'm optimistic about it because I do think Tua is such a great talent, and the Dolphins did the right call by drafting him and, keeping their keeping their patience on, trying to develop him and, have him learn, especially from Fitzpatrick. That's probably, one of the best teachers, you'll get. So I'm still a bit uncertain about it. I'm not quite riding as high as you guys are, but I'm sure after one game of seeing Tua light it up, I'm immediately going to switch my tune and be all in. But I'm just a bit more hesitant about it. I really want to see this Dolphins team really take that next step, and I'm just not quite sure if it'll be a mistake to switch possibly the hot hand or not.
And I don't want to watch the game to see, because I don't necessarily think he's going to go out and just be lights out, but I want to see where's that moment. We've seen that with great quarterbacks or young quarterbacks who really do have that it factor, where that first year, that first few games in, they made a move to get outside the pocket that it's all right, that's better awareness than if Fitzmagic would have, and finds this insane throw, or when Patty first kind of came in and ducks out and does his first kind of twist pass, and it's just this great insane pass. Like when will that happen? There is an adjustment. NFL receivers talk about catching the ball from a left-handed to a right-handed quarterback is actually different for them. So we might see some more drops. I remember when we went from Cobb to Vic, that was a big thing receivers talked about, was that when you suddenly go from constant practice at right hand to then left, that it is different because the ball's coming at a different spin. But I'm excited.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we get the story of like Aaron Rodgers stuck in our head where it's like, oh, he waited for 3 years and that's why he's incredible. I think it probably helped a little bit, but I think Aaron Rodgers is incredible because he's Aaron Rodgers, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think Patty's necessarily incredible because he sat out for 15 games and only
sat out behind Alex Smith. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think if he came in the third week of that year and Alex Smith went down for an injury, got traded, I still think Patty would have become great. And so
I agree. But I think it hurts from sitting.
So yeah, but I think it's more the reason he's been sitting all year isn't that he's not ready mentally. It's that they're just a little worried about his hip. Because before Tua got hurt, he was the number one draft. He was the number one prospect by a wide margin. He was on pace to do insane numbers in college. And then obviously Joe Burrow had the incredible year that he had. So I'm just super, even if he struggles this year, I think it's a good move. I'm just excited to see him hit the field.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Dolphins are sorry, just real quick. Dolphins are they're such a wild team. Like I was expecting them, what were you saying? Maybe like 6 or 7 wins. Like we'll see them really improve, but I think they're going to be making a bigger jump this year. But I just hope that doesn't fall apart because Tua is now the starter, though. I could easily be very wrong. You're just right. Like Tua is like a star, and we all knew that. It was just the injuries that we were concerned about. So we could see that big jump happening.